Thank you all for joining us for a great message and update from City Manager Jeff Dahl. We appreciate his time, and if you haven't been in downtown Wayzata, Jeff will provide an update on what's happening, timelines, Panaway, you name it. So thank you for joining us on this call. I want to take a quick moment to thank our member package sponsors for 2020. Here they are. At platinum level is Sears Imported Auto. Gold level is Horizon Energy, National Inland Home Financial, as I let someone in here. And silver level is Ameristore Agency, 188 Fine Men Salon, Nothing But Cakes, and Beth Ulrich Real Estate, along with Regency Homes. Thank you all so much for your participation here. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jeff Dahl, and he can provide some great update.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, everybody, for taking some time out of your day to hear what's going on in the city. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
No echoing or anything like that? Okay, cool. It's good to see all your faces. Still sucks that it's, can't have one-on-one interactions or face-to-face anyway, but this will have to do. I say that with the exception of Peter Hitch, obviously. Dr. whatever his name is there. No, I'm kidding, Peter. It's good to see you as well. So I want to go over 4 topics today. I just want to kind of give an update at where the city is with the pandemic, COVID-19 preparations, and how it's impacted city operations, what we have to look forward to. Give a brief Panaway update, construction downtown, which Kathy just alluded to. Going to talk about what the city is doing, kind of pulling both of those areas, COVID and Panaway, what the city is doing in terms of business assistance, working with our business community. And then lastly, if there's time, just kind of go over staff update, let you know who to talk to, who to call at City Hall if you're needing anything specifically from the city. We've got some great talent on staff, and it's changed a little bit. So I think it's always a good idea for you to know who to go to. We're a small town, so we pride ourselves on that customer service. So, and they really appreciate that rapport that they have with you. So first off, COVID-19, obviously, just like you, we've been impacted significantly. First, I'm going to talk about just our current operations, then kind of go on a little bit, expand on that. Right now, in line with the governor's executive orders, we've been closed.
Executive Director of the Major League Baseball Players Association Youth Development.
A little bit of feedback on that.
ATSM and Major League Baseball are also members of Project Play 2020.
Kath, just mute everybody and then let Jeff back in.
Yep.
Okay. Right now, City Hall has been closed.
Oh, sorry, Jeff. Hold on.
Classic Zoom stuff going on right now. City Hall has been closed since mid-March, just like everybody else. Typically, or for the most part, our non-essential services we've been closed off to the public. Everyone that's able to work remotely, they are doing so. So we have about half the staff in City Hall still, processing building permits, still licensing things, paying the bills, things like that. It's still happening. Our essential businesses, or enterprises or operations, police, fire, they're still providing services uninterrupted, as well as public works. Public works, because there's a lot of people working at one time, they've staggered their shifts and have implemented social distancing, so they're not splitting or not sharing cars, things like that. Wine and spirits and bar and grill obviously have been open. They are considered an essential service, but have taken many precautions, have limited hours. So that's their operations. Motor vehicles been, for the most part, shut down, as well as City Hall. To the public, they have been still working behind the scenes. But some of the employees have been furloughed as a result of just a lot less activity. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Our operations have been reduced, but based on the governor's latest executive order and easing those business restrictions, we are planning on opening up City Hall and motor vehicles starting Tuesday, June 2nd. We are still encouraging people to do business online, but for those residents that are community members that don't feel comfortable or are not able to do things online, we are going to open our City Hall for that. And we're going to be sending out some PR just to kind of say how we're conducting our business, how we're following social distancing, how we're taking a very conservative and cautious approach when opening up our businesses, our City Hall. In addition to that, we do plan, the Bar and Grill is planning on opening up its patio on June 1st, which is Monday. They're going to have to go through the same process as all the other restaurants that are wanting to expand their patio, because we are going to have to expand it a little bit. So the city will be sending out temporary outdoor patio applications later today, hopefully, and they'll have to apply just like everybody else, and then hopefully just approved by me and not have to wait for the council to approve it. So that's where we're at overall with operations. I will tell you that we're struggling, just like everyone is right now. Our Bar and Grill, we expect to lose, between the Bar and Grill and motor vehicle, about $1 million this year. So we've had to, furlough people, unpaid leave. We've had to really cut down on a lot of our costs, travel, a lot of other expenditures. And so we're taking it day by day, obviously, but we're also thinking ahead to next year so we can have more of a sustainable budget that is grounded in what's happening right now, which it's completely changed for the last 2.5 months. So unlike a lot of other cities that don't have the enterprises that we do, I can honestly say that we know what you're going through, because we're going through it ourselves as well. But we're hopeful that based on how the restrictions are being slowly but surely eased, that we'll be able to slowly pick up on some of the revenue and cut out some of the expenditures, and hopefully our budget will be closer than what we're anticipating. So that's where we're at with overall operations and just general financial well-being. Are there any questions regarding what the city's doing, not doing, parks, our financial status? Any questions about that?
This is Brian Larson. Real quick, so how much has the Muni's business contracted? Not the liquor store specifically, but the food and restaurant. Is it 20% of what it was, 10% of it? What can you give us an idea of how much it's contracted since the normal time period a year ago?
Yeah, good question. So I would say May is a pretty big month for us. In past years, we've been over $300,000. So let's say about 350 this year would have been, and I think we're going to make about 50 in revenue. Now our expenditures are down significantly, so it's not an apples to apples comparison, but we're still not paying the bills, obviously, and making enough to pay the bills. So we're down, what's that? We're making 1/7 of what we did last year at this time. I'm not a math. I don't know what that is. 15% of what we'd normally pay, whatever it is, but it's not good. Sorry, that was kind of depressing. Any other questions regarding city operations and what we're doing? the good thing is that the past several years, we put ourselves in a really good financial position where we're able to withstand this during this year and even next year. So I think we'll be okay. We're going to have to change, just like you all are doing, but we'll be able to get through it, and hopefully without too much burden on our property taxpayers. Cool. Well, I'll go on to the next item, and that's at least from my perspective, the most entertaining and positive thing we have going right now, and that's the Panaway construction. So you don't have to look very far to see all the dirt and the dust and the construction equipment that's happening right now in downtown Wayzata. It started in mid-March and will go through the end of summer to hopefully not go into September. But good progress is being made. I just got wind last hour that we're ahead of schedule and that all the utility work underneath Lake Street, especially the 600 block, is done. I think they have one more connection to make further up Lake Street. So all the utilities, everything underneath the ground will be complete. That's a big deal because that's the area that really can delay projects. You don't know what you're going to find. Pollution, burial mounds, water table issues. So that's really good that we're done with that. And you'll see this week that a lot of progress with pouring of sidewalks, curbs along the 600 block of Lake Street, and then extending further to the west. So we're really excited about that. Over the next week and a half, you'll see a lot of change, especially at the 600 block. And our hope is by that time, when that's done, pedestrians will be able to walk on the new sidewalks, the 600 block, as well as drive. So once the curb is done, then we can put the first layer of asphalt down. And we're going to open up the street as soon as we can, even though the final layer isn't going to be there for a while yet. But just to have that traffic flow, especially in the 600 block, we've heard is really critical. And so we're moving forward with that as soon as we can. And hopefully it's not much more than another week or two. And then you've probably noticed further west between Ferndale and Barry that we've made a lot of great progress on the trail. And so it's really one lane right now, and it's really tight. But as they're done pouring the asphalt over there and doing most of that work, they'll be able to move the fence back. At a minimum, there'll be a lot more room for that one-way traffic. And depending on the day and other things, they will be able to move the entire fence over. So we'll hopefully be able to have two-way traffic in the not too distant future. So it's all coming together. We've, with the exception of the last couple of days, we've had pretty good weather. The city's authorized overtime work, and so ultimately we are ahead of schedule. I'm gonna just show the four-way. Let's see if I can share here. The four-week plan on my screen here. That kind of gives you a visual update of where we're at. Can everybody see that? This is an update from Stall Construction that they provide us at the end of every week. So this was updated on Friday. Hopefully you're seeing this. I know they're sending out to the business community. You can see the next 2 weeks, the activities that I just talked about. And they are starting some of the ground up work on the plaza, which to me is super exciting. That's really going to be the cornerstone of this first phase, a community gathering spot with green space, a public restroom, a water fountain. It's going to be really, really sweet. And then we have the latest detours just to show the public of how to navigate this area. You can go to navigatewayzata.com to get more information on the specifics. It's really challenging to do this in a clear and concise manner when there's so much going on. Then you have the railroad tracks where people want to go across, but we are really doing our best. And my understanding from Stall is that it's gotten a lot better out there over the last couple of weeks. Okay, well, that's kind of my Panaway update. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you folks have about Panaway. I will get into business assistance shortly, but in terms of construction, I wanted to stop there to see if anybody had any questions about what we're doing and when things are going to be done. Either there's no questions or the person that's asking them are on mute. So any other last call, I guess, for questions? No? Okay. Well, I'm going to move on then to business assistance and what the city council is doing in order to help get our businesses through this very challenging time, both in terms of construction, but also in terms of the pandemic. So I'm going to go off screen share real quick. Is it still sharing? No? Okay. So originally when this all happened, the pandemic, our thought was that we'd shift a lot of the Panaway dollars that we had reserved or allocated for businesses just citywide into pandemic related stuff. And we've held off on that. Originally we thought, well, we'll just use the money to credit businesses for, utility permits, fees, things like that we actually charge businesses. That's the easiest way and the best way for us to reduce costs. We still plan on doing that. We're still looking at waiving liquor fees, for example, and we already have waived patio fees. But really, after talking to a lot of you and a lot of others, we determined that the best way to really have an impact or really help you guys get through this is to more or less get out of the way. So what does that mean? That means expediting construction on Lake Street. That means paying overtime, significant dollars for overtime to get construction done as quick as we can. That means relaxing certain restrictions, allowing more flexibility with permits. So right now we're working on allowing outdoor patios that we normally wouldn't allow. So right away having a little bit more flexibility with going into parking spots, the serving of alcohol. So we're doing that. We're also looking at partnering on some events, closing down the street, if that makes sense, to allow some more like walking, meandering space. Maybe it means putting tables on Lake Street or other streets. We're looking at that. We've looked at a lot of what other cities are doing, both locally and nationally. And we've got a really unique opportunity. Yeah, there's a lot of challenges in Wayzata. It's not it's not like Applebee's where they own their property, they have parking, they can just, tweak their outdoor patio. Here it's a lot different. We have businesses that are in close proximity with each other. There's shared parking. There's shared right-of-way space on the street. That does make Wayzata unique and special, and that's why we all love it. But in terms of permitting it allows for a little bit more in the way of challenges. So even though my city attorney and some of my staff kind of have a hard time letting go of some of the restrictions, we are moving forward with a plan that would would relax a lot of those things. So that's kind of what our focus has been. And we're also working on, we've got an updated page on our website that shows all the resources that are available. I'm sure a lot of you are getting a bunch of other links to what the resources are for you in this time, whether it's PPP, whether it's, you know, small business loans, other things. We're trying to be a one-stop shop as well. Although we're a small community, and I'll be quite candid, we're not always able to keep up with that as some other entities that are. If you are looking for a good one-stop shop, I'd highly recommend Hennepin County. We do link to Hennepin County's spot, but their community and economic development page has a lot of great links for all the resources available right now. So that's what we're doing. Our council has taken a real active role. We, you know, the livelihood of our businesses are integral to the city and survival. We're struggling ourselves, so we know what you're going through, and we'll get it through together. And I think the most important thing for me is to keep the dialogue open, keep hearing what you're going through, so we can adjust accordingly. Things are changing so fast, obviously, where we need to be able to adjust quickly, and we'll continue to do that. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding, you know, any of those programs, any of those initiatives that I just talked about, or just get more feedback from you, which is always helpful in terms of how you're doing, what's going on, and how we can either be helpful or just at least get out of the way, so we're not another obstacle for you to get your feet back underneath you. So any questions, feedback?
I'll ask one. I'll get it started.
Yeah.
Jeff, we've got some businesses that have like small studio, that kind of thing, that have not been allowed to open yet. What discussion has taken place, if any, or what would be the process, or how open are you to allowing maybe some of those kinds of businesses to utilize some city space to be able to continue some business use outside?
Very open to it. We'd want to see a plan and have something to respond to, because I mean, the businesses are the ones that have the good ideas, and we're not going to be as creative as you are. So knowing the circumstances that we're in, everyone's looking at things differently now. So we're open for anything, really.
Okay. Is the new form that you are utilizing, is that the best way to start that conversation, or who would somebody want to contact to look into that, and how?
Yeah, I'm sharing the new form now. That's just for outdoor patios. And this is a draft, so this will be an updated version, will be mailed out shortly. But for other, you know, if it's a, you know, some type of service or a fitness type business, then if it's an ongoing thing, I'd have to talk to our public works department on what kind of form. Otherwise, we'd probably call it a special event. And that can be something as frequent as 3 times a week or 4 times a week, every week, just not something that's every day. But for something that is, you know, not every day, we can classify it as a special event. That gives us a lot more flexibility to approve something and not worry about as much the ordinance or getting council approval. So
Okay.
the best person to talk to is our public works department, and that person is Mike Kelly or Jen Schumann. And you can see on the permit, we have obviously our website is wayzata.org, and our main line, which call that and you'll be directed to the appropriate person.
Okay. And are you also considering with that waiving of fees, if there would be a fee, or, you know, if it's using a park or something like that, what would be what's the process for that?
Yeah, good question. I've waived fees that are directly related to just business survival for events or permits at this point. I've just done, I don't technically know if I have the power to do that. I know that the council supports me, so I'm not too worried about that. So we've waived those types of fees, and I would expect that we would continue to do that throughout the summer.
Yeah, I'd like to comment. Greta, I'm Greta Walsh. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Greta.
Okay. Hi, I run the Whispering Cave on Minnetonka Avenue. It's a yoga studio / salt cave. So yeah, we're in the category of not being able to open, and being able to utilize green space to teach some socially distanced classes would be a lifesaver for us. We're bleeding dry at this point, even though we can do Zoom classes online, but they don't generate the type of revenue we need to keep going. So that would be a huge, huge benefit to us if we could put together some classes ongoing in green spaces around town.
Yeah, we're definitely open to that. We under the caveat that it still needs to follow all the rules set forth in the executive orders.
Oh yeah.
But you know, and we'll just need you to acknowledge that and have a plan, like we would anyway. But assuming that that's done and taken care of, we definitely support that.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Say, Jeff,
Yeah.
that's Peter.
Hey, Peter.
I know I'm your constant cheerleader, but I just wanted to tell you that I fully really love your approach here. We have a whole bunch of, I think, really creative businesses in town and a really creative ideas for what we can do this summer. And I know we're going to be bringing some of them to you. So, you know, just keep it up. Keep listening and see if we can make some stuff happen.
Thanks, Peter. I appreciate that. Will do. Any other questions regarding what our approach has been, and any other feedback or other ideas that you think would be kind of cool or would help you get through this? I know you have a lot of ideas out there.
Jeff, so I've got two questions. One being, so we have our fitness studio as well, downtown on Lake Street. And I know other cities have done, little grants, even if it's $3,000, $5,000. I know Wayzata small, so I'm just not sure if that's something, that they're looking at doing, for businesses, just to help a little bit with expenses. Like I said, I've seen other cities, just not sure about Wayzata. And then two, I think probably a majority of us on this call, when it comes to expenses, rent is kind of the one thing that we seem to have the most, uncertainty on right now. We can defer a lot of things or, put things on hold. But, the rents are still there. They're still really high, and we're closed, and we're continuing to be closed for a while. So I'm not sure, obviously, like, we can keep working with landlords, but if the city has some way to help the landlords, then that'll just kind of trickle down to the businesses as well. So anything, that can be done to help the landlords, is obviously appreciated.
Yeah, good questions, good comments. We have explored looking at kind of a grant program or something like that, which other cities have done. I know Minnetonka's done it. We don't have a pot of money for that at this point. Doesn't mean the city couldn't prioritize that, but our thoughts were that rather than spending money on staff to administer that and all that, our approach has been just to get out of the way and try to expedite construction as quickly as we can, and look at waiving the fees that we already charge, because there is no guarantee that if we just help the landlords that it's ultimately going to trickle down to you And so we'd rather control what we can control. And, you know, yeah, I don't really have a better answer than that, but we've looked at it, and at this point, we haven't moved forward with any type of grant program. And that kind of gets into like helping out landlords. You know, taxes is the biggest challenge, no question about it, for businesses, your property taxes. And about 20% of the property tax bill actually comes back to Wayzata. It all goes to the county, which most of you are aware of. And we rely on that 20% to fund approximately 80% of our general fund budget. So that goes into providing all the services, public works, you know, police, fire, finance, all those sorts of things. So yes, we are in a good financial position right now, but if we were to either do anything with regard to taxes, we'd have to offset that with a reduction in services, and we haven't taken that measure yet. And I don't know if we will take that measure. That would certainly be a good way to reduce the burden on to you and to your tenant or your landlords, your property owners. But there's a trade-off there, and that hasn't been something that we've been willing to do at this point. Any other questions with what we're doing?
Hey, Jeff. My name is Jake. I'm with Float. We are a peer-to-peer boat rental platform. And I guess I wanted to throw this out just as an idea, either to yourself or others within the community. So we do boat rentals, and a lot of our business is done on Lake Minnetonka. And a lot of our renters are spending time in the city of Wayzata if they are coming by a boat. So they are spending time in the city and are looking for a good experience. So trying to find ways and opportunities in which that we can either direct some of the customers that are renting boats from us to be able to incorporate with other businesses within the city, whether that are right there, right on Lake Street or close to the docks. Really just kind of wanted to throw that out as an idea, as we see it as an opportunity, but really to make it effective and have something happen would really love the input of those other businesses within the community.
Well, we're glad you're here, and the more activity, the better. As long as it's in a, it's kind of a weird contradiction. As long as it's in a safe and cautious manner, but I would hope that under normal circumstances, you would be blossoming right now, and hopefully you still are able to, take advantage of this and help circumstances. I don't know if that's a.
Yeah, it is, and fortunately, with the most recent executive orders, there are very clear guidelines on outdoor recreation and who can be boating and who should be in the same boat group size. So we are abiding by all of essentially the Minnesota Department of Health and Minnesota DNR regulations that were put out, and are constantly watching those. But is a great outdoor activity for those individuals that are in the same household to get out onto the lake and enjoy the outdoors, and finding any way that we can to give them, a summer experience with some normalcy. So again, I guess this is a announcement, I guess, to others within the call. If anybody has any ideas on how there may see opportunity to come up with any type of partnership or ways to essentially funnel some of our clients to your businesses, we'd love to have that conversation.
Cool.
Thanks, Jeff.
Well, any other questions, comments?
The guy that was just talking, what's your business name again?
Our business is called Float. You can visit our website at letsfloat.com. That is LETSFLOAT.
Okay, thanks.
My name is Jake, and feel free to give me an email at jake@letsfloat.com.
Okay, thanks, Jake.
Thank you.
Well, if there are not any other questions, Jeff, I want to thank you so much for your time today. 26 of you are on this call, so I so appreciate your time and interest. Wanted to remind you that next week we have a double header. So 2 webinars, June 3rd and June 4th. Our first is with Dean Phillips. So be checking your email to register, just like you did today for today's call, with a Zoom link. And then on the 4th we have Liz Urim. So those of you who maybe have heard Liz before, she's a public facilitator, and she'll be talking about how to be a boss without being bossy. So this is something that she presents around the country, and we're lucky to have her locally. So tune into those things. Thank you again. Oh, and I will say that this program is recorded. So if you do want to share this with a fellow business owner, chamber member, someone interested in Wayzata, that will be available through our social media.
Hey, Kathy.
Yes.
Can I just say one thing? I just want to say thank you all for hanging in there. Your livelihood is super important, so we don't always get it right. And the more we hear from you, the better. It doesn't mean we're always going to agree or that we're always going to be able to do something about it. But please communicate. Please reach out to us. We'll do our best to do the same. But again, we can't do it for everybody. So hang in there and let us know how we can help.